Hi, welcome to the basic endgames course here on Structured Chess Training. This course is meant to be taken alongside the other basic level courses on tactics and strategy that will focus mainly on middle game positions and sometimes openings too. So here we will dedicate ourselves to studying the specific plans and ideas that apply to endgame positions. So first, we should be defining what's an endgame, but it's not really that clear. And we will work by the practical definition of an endgame is a position where we should play endgame-like plans. So how do those positions look like? They are positions with usually lots of pieces traded off the board, and most importantly, where the king is safe pretty much on any square. So let's look at an example. Here we have a position that is clearly an endgame. So all the pieces, and we will ignore pawns for now, have been traded except for a white bishop and a black knight. So this means we can put the king pretty much on any square without ever getting at risk of a checkmate threat. And in fact, we will want our king to go into the open territory. We would love to have our king in one of these squares so it can attack, become an attacking piece and put pressure on the enemy targets, usually the enemy pawns. Of course, both sides will try that, and the activity of the bishop and the knight also matter, but the key factor is that we shouldn't be worrying with keeping our king safe behind some pawns or away from the action, but rather we want to be an active participant. On the other hand, you have a position like this. Here it would make no sense to base our strategy around activating our king. We wouldn't like the king to be here in one of these squares near the middle of the board, exposed to all those threats. But rather, we want to keep it safe, we want to keep it in the back rank, and we want to, in fact, be the opponent's king that gets in danger and a victim to our attack. Then there's also some positions that lie somewhere in between, especially when we have this type of queenless middle games where the queens are off the board. So a mating attack is probably not going to happen, but we also don't just want to willy-nilly move the king around. We still need to be somewhat careful and look for some tactics related to king safety. Still, we wouldn't play like in the previous position. So this will, with reasonable play, probably convert into an endgame at some point. But for now, we're still in a situation where most of the ideas we will cover in this course about endgame strategy won't really apply here. So this means that this course will be concerned with mostly, almost exclusively, pure endgame ideas. We will start by exploring how to deliver checkmate against a lonely king with just a king and a rook. So it's a basic mating pattern that we didn't cover in the introductory beginners course. If you don't know how to do checkmate with just a queen and a king, or queen and rook against a lonely king, then go check the basic mating pattern videos in the beginners course. But I will take them for granted in this one, and we will start with king and rook mate. Then we will move on to studying some basic ideas like Zugzwang, some most fundamental themes in king endgames, and then minor piece endgames. So a minor piece endgame would be like the one we've seen before. For like this would be bishop versus knight, or we could have bishop versus bishop, or knight versus knight. Sometimes we will have two minor pieces per side, and we will then also cover some very basic of rook endgames. But in all cases, we will do it mostly from a practical strategic perspective. So we won't really concern ourselves with specific theoretical endgames. We will cover those in later courses. For now, we will just stick to learning the main ideas and plans. even though you could consider an exception with the first chapter that will cover a very specific position. But for all the others, we will mostly explore ideas and plans. There will, of course, also be exercises at the end of the course, so you can practice some of the ideas we will study, and you can find all of them as well as the examples we will use to illustrate the different chapters, the different ideas in the Lichess study that will be linked in the description here and in all of the other videos from the course. Okay, so with this out of the way, it's now time to start. Let's go now to chapter 1 that you will find on the playlist or also on the description below. If you already know how to do this basic checkmate with a rook and a king, you may also want to skip this chapter and go on to the next one, where we'll start covering some basic ideas of Zugzwang. But for those of you who don't, let's meet each other on the next video, and I hope you enjoy this course and get something out of it to improve your chess.